Good morning. You're tuned to North Country Community Radio and WZNCLP Bethlehem. Thanks for tuning in this morning. We got a special guest in the studio. Our latest DJ, Amanda McKeen, is here in the studio, and we're going to have a conversation on air and get to know Amanda and learn a little bit about her and her new show. How's it going?
Hey, good. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Is this your first time on radio? Have you been on radio before?
This is my first official time, unless you count when I was 8 years old, playing with a tape recorder and pretending that I was a radio DJ.
That's awesome. Do you still have those tapes?
I wish. I don't think that they exist anymore. We kept recording over them and over them because, you know, that's what kids do. So.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah,
that's cool. Fun. So you've been thinking about being a DJ for a while?
Yep.
And now you've been trained to join the NCCR DJ crew here and do a radio show on Tuesday mornings.
Yeah, and I'm super excited about it. I've had this idea for like over 6 months of just wanting to find a way to elevate the community voices that are here and do it in a very casual and authentic way. Like, I have had coffee chats with so many people, and there's some really cool people here. And I just think, oh my gosh, like, more people need to hear your story, and more people need to know who you are. And so this format that I'm creating is a chance to do that and to really help our community come together and know who's who and hear more about their background.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's great. That's what we're here for.
Yeah,
that's the idea, and thanks for doing that. And so, what made you where you come from? What made you decide to be here?
To be here?
Yeah, in Littleton.
In Littleton. Okay, so that is, how far back do we want to go? Do we want to go, like, infant?
Sure, yeah. But yeah.
I was born in Waterville, Maine,
mm-hmm.
and when I was 10, my father went on a missions trip to Ecuador, and It was a 2-week trip, and none of us kids understood where Ecuador was, what was happening. But he came back with all kinds of strange gifts and stories and said, we're going to go live in Ecuador.
Wow.
So that was really weird to process as a child. And then about 3 years later, we were moved down to Costa Rica to learn Spanish so that we could be in Ecuador and be, able to live there.
Wow.
And function. So I was in Ecuador from 15 to 18. I graduated from high school there and then came back to the States, got experience for teaching health and phys ed.
Mm-hmm.
So I went back to the same high school that I taught at, graduated and taught there for 3 years. So went back to Ecuador. That was really what was most familiar to me at that point. I lived in the capital city of Quito. Quito is a massive city when you are used to living in a small town in Maine.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a huge culture shock overall. But at some point, there was some serious burnout that happened. And so I came back to the States and just really wasn't sure what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't have a sense of direction. I didn't really feel like I belonged in the U.S. I was kind of weird, like blonde hair, blue eyes, speaks Spanish, doesn't have a driver's license, just not really the typical American story. So eventually, my youngest brother, his family actually moved to Lisbon, and he was a pastor of a church there. And so I came to visit him, and that was in 2019. And I came to visit my brother, and he took me for a drive one day, and he brought me here to Littleton.
Oh, wow.
And drove through it. I saw the bridge. I just saw the very picturesque town. And then we went to Bethlehem, and he showed me the mountains, when you come up to the top of the hill. And I just thought, oh, my gosh, I need to live here.
Wow.
Immediately, something in me was like, this is where you belong. Wow. And I had never had that feeling before since I was little. So I said, I'm going to figure out how to live here. And over the last 5 years, I've figured it out and made that commitment, and I'm so glad that I did, because I have been able to enjoy not only the outdoors and, you know, the hiking and the mountain biking and the snowshoeing and all of the craziness of the weather that comes with living here, but getting to know the people and get more integrated in the community has been something that I've more recently started doing. So there's so many opportunities here, and like I said, so many cool people.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm in Littleton.
That's awesome.
How I
That's
got
a great
here.
story.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so now getting integrated with more into the community, you're gonna have a community radio show, and it's called North of Normal with Amanda McKeen from 10 a.m. to noon on Tuesday mornings.
That's right.
So tell us about what your show is going to be like.
Yeah, so North of Normal is actually the title of my weekly newspaper column in Littleton Courier.
Okay.
And so that column is dedicated to writing about just normal human being issues here in the North Country, which we call normal, but it's really not normal up here. Mm-hmm. And, you know, talking about the amazing business owners that have figured out how to create a life for themselves here. Mm-hmm. That's a hard thing to do. So being able to highlight, you know, how people are figuring out how to live here. Right. And to live the life that they want too. It's not just, let me figure out how I can get by. It's, hey, I really love skiing, so how can I support that love that I have? You know? So taking the same approach from my weekly column is having the talk show where I'm actually talking with these business owners. They don't have to be business owners. They can be leaders, nonprofit workers, just people that have stories and that have perspectives that need to be shared.
That's great. Yep. That's awesome. That sounds like a great thing, because the station loves having people in here. So it's a great show.
Yeah, and I want to make sure. Thank you. Me too. I want to make sure that the conversations that we're having are genuine and authentic, because that really matters to me. Mm-hmm. And that it's not promotional. So, mm-hmm. like, we can talk about our businesses, but it's really deeper than that. It's about the human being behind the business. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very
cool. Yeah. And you have a first guest lined up already?
I do. I just found out last night it's going to be Mike Sharam from Redline Guiding. And Mike and I know each other from, well, first of all, I hired Redline Guiding. So he wasn't the one that guided me up Mount Washington, but I did use his business to do that. And then he is a volunteer on AVSAR, and I am too.
What is that?
Androscoggin Valley Search and Rescue.
Okay.
Yep. So we have been at trainings together. We've done a couple of missions together. So wow. I really have a deep appreciation for him, and I'm excited to have him here next week.
That's great. Yeah, that's awesome. So that would be your first official show, and next week, 10 a.m. To noon, and then it'll be a weekly show. And you'll have a guest every show, or most shows? Or
we're going to try. Yep. Depends on how many people raise their hands and say, yeah, I want to be on there. I have sent out several invites at this point, so we'll just see. People need to, like, listen and see what it's like before they make a commitment. So
yeah. And I feel like, inviting people makes a difference, too. If someone is invited to be on the air, it usually... they usually say yes, from what I've noticed.
And the ones that I've invited are people that, you know, I know already, and mm-hmm. I know that we can have conversations and that it's not going to be this awkward silence, you know? So.
Yeah. And some people get nervous, but there's really nothing to be nervous about. This isn't commercial radio. It's not slick. It's just people talking, and that's the idea of community radio. It's just the community. Yeah,
you know what I love is that nobody is seeing my face right now except for you.
Yeah. Well, some people get camera shy, or you know, shy when the camera's video's on, but we don't really do that typically here, unless special things we do. But well, great. We're going to take a short musical break, and we're going to be back with Amanda McKeen here on North Country Community Radio.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that was some Pearl Jam, and before that we had some Radiohead, picked out by our guest. Amanda McKeen is here in the studio live, and we've been talking about her new show, North of Normal, which will be starting next Tuesday at 10 a.m. to noon, and she's got her first guest already lined up, so check that out, and thanks for tuning in to North Country Community Radio. We are back with Amanda McKeen, and thanks for being here.
Hello, hello. Thanks for having me.
Fresh off DJ training from Saturday. We had a few new DJs in here doing our monthly training. And how did that go for you?
It was super fun. My favorite part of training was when you showed us how to use the turntables.
Yep.
I'm not sure if I'm comfortable enough to actually do that on my own, but when I was a kid, we did listen to records. Mm-hmm. We had some very old ones and some very strange ones, but it's just really fun to see that still being used today. So
that's great.
Yeah, it was great.
Awesome. Yeah, we try to do all sorts of different forms of music here. We got CD players. We even have a 8-track player and cassette player here.
Oh, man.
That we could plug in and use. I don't think many people do, but it is an option.
Great.
So we've talked a little bit about sort of what brought you to Littleton, and a little bit about your upcoming radio show. Tell us a little bit about what you do for your business.
Yeah, so my business is called Clearview Advantage, and I'm an online reputation consultant. Mm-hmm. And I know that term is probably a little bit new for people. A lot of times I get kind of under the umbrella of marketing, but online reputation is really controlling how people and their businesses are perceived online. Mm-hmm. So if somebody Googles the radio, what are they going to see that pops up first? What does it say there? What are they going to feel when they see those things? That's really what shapes your online reputation. If they're going to your Facebook page, if they go to your website, every place that you are online is shaping how people are perceiving you. And the big thing for me is that needs to be authentic, especially in a small local community, because people know who you are in person. And so if they see you online and something isn't matching who you are in person, then that's going to cast some doubt, and you're going to lose trust with your customers. So my big thing is trust, and really finding ways to earn that trust from people that maybe haven't met you yet, mm-hmm. or maybe they have and they're still looking for a little bit more detail. Mm-hmm. So my consulting business is really to support the small businesses and nonprofits here in the North Country, because they're either online and their presence is a little bit inconsistent, or some of them aren't online at all. And mm-hmm. so that's also a factor, is if you're not found, people are Googling you. And if you're not found, then they're going to choose somebody else. Mm-hmm. So I step in, I help, I support, make sure that people are seen and heard in a way that feels true to them.
Mm-hmm. So, like, what does that entail? Like, as far as, do you work on websites? Do you work on social media? Do you change analytics for different search algorithms?
I feel like you're just throwing some words out at this point.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good. You grabbed all the right words. Mm-hmm. Yes, I look at websites. I look at social media profiles. I look at frequency of posting, mm-hmm. whether that's on social or, the website putting out new content, fresh content, usually in the form of blogs or news articles, press releases. Let me think what else we have here. Those are the big ones. But also, one thing that I'm bringing to it is, because, like I said, we're local, people know us, and they see you in person, is finding opportunities for people and their businesses to be more visible, even when it's offline. So my radio show starting next week is a prime example of me finding an opportunity where I can still elevate those people and their businesses and their passion and show them in an authentic way to people in the community. Other opportunities would be with other local newspapers, creating relationships with publishers across the state of New Hampshire. I think that is a lot of the news that is put out there is really about central and southern New Hampshire. Mm-hmm. And we don't get a lot of attention up here by those news sites. So establishing those relationships and getting our businesses and our business owners seen and heard in a broader sense.
Great.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
And how long have you been doing that?
So I just started, my consulting firm was a little over a year and a half ago. And since March is when I launched these specific services for online reputation. I have been in the online reputation industry for the last 3 years. I worked for a global company and got a lot of experience there. I was the operations manager. So I not only was building the business structure from within, but I was also learning about what helped clients be successful online and the strategies that we implemented and what worked and what didn't.
Mm-hmm. So the name of the business is Clearview Advantage.
That's right.
And you have an online workshop tomorrow, or a workshop going on?
I do. I have a virtual session that I'm hosting, and this is the second one that I've done. I did one in May. I'm going to forget the name of it, so I'm going to pull it up. But it's a session because I noticed that a lot of us have trouble clearly and concisely stating what we offer. So if I go to, somebody's website and without scrolling, if I can't immediately understand what they're there for and how they're going to help me, then it creates confusion and I go to the next thing because we're so ingrained to have that instant gratification at this point that people want their answers now and they need to be able to understand. So my virtual session is called Say It Like You Mean It. And it's a workshop. We're going to be interactive. It's not just me talking the whole time. We're going to work together to craft more clear and more confident value statements for our businesses. And I have a couple of activities planned that's going to be super fun. I think people are going to really enjoy it. So I have 16 people signed up already.
Wow.
There's room for more. And today's the last day to RSVP. And they can do that by either navigating to Clearview Advantage's Facebook page or send me a message directly and I'll send you a link.
All right.
Yeah. Excellent.
Wow. That sounds very exciting. And it's clearviewadvantage.com is your website.
That's right.
And so thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And there's another business that you started called the White Mountain Directory.
Yeah. So White Mountains Directory is a website that is owned under Clearview Advantage, and I created that in January, and it's because I noticed that Google is not friendly with local businesses and nonprofits here in our area. It's really hard to be seen on Google, especially when you're competing with big brands, national brands that are paying for sponsorships. So I created this directory site to be a regional way for our businesses and our nonprofits to be known across towns, across counties, and just bring more visibility to our communities. So White Mountains Directory is not only is it a great place to get listed, and you can get listed for free, by the way, it is also a great resource hub. So I post articles weekly or bi-weekly that help people understand. The do-it-yourselfers can read these articles and get tips on how to improve their online presence. So it's a great resource hub. In addition to that, it's a great place to list your events. And every week I push out events on my social media channels for White Mountains Directory. And any events that are listed on the directory site I will highlight and promote. And I do that for free too, because I want people to be seen and heard, and I want them to have the chance to be known even if they can't afford big budget marketing.
All right.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, that all sounds really good. So, and anything else you would like to talk about while we're here?
Anything else I want to talk about? Oh, I have a cat. His name is William Wallace, and he's really important to me.
All right.
I don't have any children, but he is my child. William Wallace is a rag doll, and he has the bluest eyes that you could ever imagine, and he is super fluffy. So that's something personal, I guess.
So it's a shout out to the cat.
Shout out to William Wallace, who will never hear me here, but that's okay.
You could leave the radio on at home while you do your show. And Amanda McKeen, thanks so much for being here.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
And check her out. A weekly column at the Caledonian Record.
It's Littleton Courier.
Littleton Courier.
Yep.
Okay, well.
Maybe CalRec at some point.
Okay. And also you have a blog?
I do have a blog. That's on my website. And my blog is usually personal stories that happen week to week and my insights on those events. And it's clearviewadvantage.com. That's right. And here on NCCR on Tuesdays, North of Normal with Amanda McKeen from 10 to noon. Yeah, and next week we've got Mike Sharam as our first guest. So tune in next week on North Country Community Radio and WZNC LP Bethlehem. Thanks so much for being here, Amanda. Thank you for having me. Thanks for listening, guys.